Okay, I'll just want to give additional inputs. No, actually, the discussion is very detailed. No, and thank you so much to our presenter. No, a while ago, no, I have mentioned about some literature review discussions. No, we need to accept the fact that subsequent developments highlighted the behavioral revolutions, no, where scholars like Herbert Simon criticized the normative foundation actually of administrative thought and push for a more empirical decision-making orientation. No, Simon's notion or bounded rationality reshaped discussion on how the administrators process information and make decisions under constraint. And this shifted attention from rigid bureaucratic models to understand the cognitive and institutional limitations, no, that influence public managers. No? And the rise of new public administration movement, no, introduced an explicit concern for social equity, no, citizen participation, and responsive to societal needs. That's why, as I mentioned, your study may focus on this type. No? And unlike traditional bureaucratic approaches, the new public administration viewed the administrators, no, as agents of social change, emphasizing values of justice, no, inclusiveness, syempre, and community empowerment. And this literature stressed the efficiency alone, no, could not define administrative success, as governance must also embody democratic ideals. No? So contemporary literature now emphasizes new public governance, which recognize the interdependence, no, and of government, civil society, and private sector in solving public problems. No? Rooted in a network and collaborative governance. No? So in the Philippine context, no, literature reflects unique challenges rooted in colonial history, political patronage, and weak institutions. So there are some studies actually highlighted issues such as corruption, always po yan, bureaucratic inefficiency, and limited citizen trust in government. At the same time, emerging research underscored the potential of digital governance, participatory budgeting, and anti-corruption reforms to strengthen transparency and accountability, no? Yung ARTA, 'di ba? Parang in-strengthen nila yung ARTA, no? So Philippine scholars argue to hybrid models that integrate global best practices with our local institutional realities. Another growing body of literature explore public innovation and governance. Now, a while ago, our presenter mentioned about the theoretical framework, no? This study is anchored in a multi-theoretical framework that integrates classical, contemporary, and critical perspective in public administration. First, it draws now on institutional theory, which explain how formal and informal rules, norms, and organizational culture shape administrative behavior. And this framework is important, no, and in understanding how historical legacies and bureaucratic traditions influence policy implementation in the Philippine setting. The second one actually is the study employs governance theory, particularly the lens of collaborative governance, which posits now that effective policy outcomes emerge when state actors, private organization, and civil society engage in joint decision-making process. And this framework, I believe, emphasizes inclusivity, dialogue, and shared responsibility in addressing a collective problems, an essential lens for analyzing Philippine public sector reforms. The study of incorporates contingency theory, which argue also that organizational effectiveness depends on the fit between administrative structure and environmental demands. This theory naman po kasi provides insight into why reforms such as the NPM succeed in some contexts but fail in others, no, highlighting the need for a context-sensitive approaches in governance. So the framework integrity, public value theory, which assert that public administrators should not only focus on efficiency and compliance, but also in creating value for society. And this perspective is particularly relevant analyzing reforms and innovation in the Philippine bureaucracy, where legitimacy, trust, and citizen satisfaction are vital benchmark of the success. Uh-huh. I just want to actually summarize the discussion. Very informative kasi yung discussion ni Sir. No? So, a while ago, he mentioned about the literature review, writing a literature review, no? Because when writing a literature review, again, it's just only a sort of advice, ha? Sabi, hindi ko sinasabing perfectly, pero this will be a good or best guide for you na para, paano ba ginagawa? Okay, when writing a literature review, it is essential to recognize that the type of research you are conducting qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods. Clear tayo doon. Dapat, at early stage, kung quali ka, dapat ang nire-research mo na literature ay quali din. Ito ibig ko sabihin. So determines not only your methodology but also the kind of literature you should prioritize. And this alignment, methodological rigor, no, coherence and credibility in your study. In your proposal, no, if your proposal is qualitative research, your literature review must primarily engage with qualitative studies and outputs. These include case studies, ethnographies, grounded theory works, phenomenological accounts, and narrative analysis. The purpose of citing qualitative literature is to show how meaning has been constructed, how life experiences have been explored, and how social realities have been interpreted in prior scholarship. Let's say, for example, no, if you are studying leadership in governance through a qualitative lens, your literature review should highlight past studies that use interviews, focus groups, and content analysis to understand leadership behavior, values, and perception. And this creates a coherent foundation since your inquiry is also reflects or relies actually no, on subjective interpretation rather than numerical generalization. On the other hand, no, for quantitative research, no, the literature review must focus on prior works that employ quantifiable measures, statistical analysis, and numerical output. Take note of it. This ensures that your study is grounded in evidence that reflects patterns, correlation, sabi ni Sir kanina, and measurable outcomes. For instance, if your topic is the impact of digital governance tools on citizen trust in local government, your review should highlight surveys, regression analysis, experimental studies, and statistical reports that measures or measured citizen satisfaction, no? Usage frequency, or performance indicators. No? Doing so strengthen the empirical base of your work, positioning your study within an established tradition of numerical validation. Doc, how about, Doc, for mixed methods? Kasi syempre, okay, pag sinabi natin qualitative, dapat qualitative output din ang ating kinukuha ng literature. Pag sinabi natin quantitative, dapat quantitative din kinukuha natin. Ay paano, Doc, kapag mixed method? When conducting mixed methods, kasi kayo, doctoral, possibly, ang i-require sa inyo sa dissertation ay ano po, mixed method. Kasi dyan ako nag-doctoral, quali sana ako pero ginawang mixed methods. Kasi doctoral degree or doctorate degree. Okay, so, sana nga, sabi ko dati, alam ko na to, no? Ako'y nag-aaral pa lang nung master's degree, no? When conducting mixed methods research, the literature review must be handled with greater care. Okay? You need to separate the qualitative and quantitative literature so that readers can clearly see how each strand informs your dual design. Ay ano ang nangyayari, sorry Batanggenyo. Alam mo yung nangyayari na, nandito, mayroon siyang quali, may quanti. You are so lucky kapag ang nakaupo ay hindi ganun ka-technical. Pero pag si Dr. Abante ang nakaupo sa inyo, very technical ako sa ganun. Okay? Again, as I mentioned, no, we need to, we need our readers clearly understand no, how this strand transform based on your dual design or your mixed methods. And this separation actually avoids confusion and demonstrate your awareness of how the different methodologies contribute distinct but complementary insights. Let's say, for example, mahilig ako sa example, no? In mixed methods, study on public participation in policy making. Let's say, for example, the qualitative literature might explore citizen narratives and motivation for participation, while the quantitative literature might focus on participant rates, statistical trends, or demographic predictors. No? So, presenting this strand separately in your review not only adds clarity but also reinforce the rationale for why a mixed method is most appropriate for your study. Always observe the sequence of information. Isa pa yan, di ba? Elementary pa lang tayo, high school, tinuturuan na tayo. Paragraph number 1 must be paragraph number 2 must be a continuation of paragraph number 1. Para kung nag-end ka na ng paragraph number 3, pwede ka ulit mag-start ng bagong information na kasequence niya yung 2, 3. Hindi ba, paragraph 1 iba, paragraph 2 iba. Walang link, no? Yun po yung laging problema ng mga doctorate degree at saka master's degree student. Begin with a general discussions of the broader field, then move toward specific debates, no? Themes, and the most important is gaps that directly relate to your research question. Within its methodological orientation, ano nga yung ating methodological orientation? Qualitative, quantitative, or mixed method. Follow a logic flow from classical theories and foundational works to more recent studies and current trends. And this sequence gives our reader a sense of continuity and scholarly evolution while helping you establish the gap in knowledge that justifies your study. Because a key point to emphasize to doctoral student in that the literature review is not merely a summary of past work. Hindi yung sinasummarize ha. It must be a critical synthesis, no? And this kasi kahit sa doctoral degree pag umuupo ako talaga, ano ba to, kinuha mo lang, sinamari mo lang, i-rephrase mo lang yun ha? No. It must be a critical synthesis, no? And this means identifying convergences and divergences in the literature, noting methodological limitations and highlighting unexplored areas, no? Again, ang literature noting methodological limitations and highlighting underexplored areas. Let's say, for example, if existing quantitative studies on public sector innovation rely heavily on Western data sets, a qualitative Philippine-based inquiry could fill the gap by exploring contextualized practices, no, cultural nuances, and lived experience of the administrator. So, take note student ha, baka ako umupo sa inyong thesis or dissertation. You need to align your literature with your research design, strengthen your theoretical framework of your study. Again, qualitative reviews point you toward interpretivist or constructivist theories, no? While quantitative reviews align you with positivist and empirical traditions. On the other hand, mixed methods reviews often engage with pragmatism, acknowledging the value of multiple ways of knowing. So, through linking your literature to your theoretical stance, you demonstrate methodological consistency, which is hallmark of a doctoral level research, specifically in public administration. Konti na lang, no? Now, I just want to give more in-depth discussions about the theoretical framework. Kasi, again, no, pag meron tayong theoretical framework, most commonly, siya makikita ko dapat sa statement of the problem. Andun dapat sa variables. Andun siya sa title. Nasa title, so dapat naglilink siya, no? So, again, your theoretical framework must always serve as your guide in crafting your variables and in shaping your statement of the problem. Take note of it. Now, it provides that foundation on which your research rests, connecting your study to established theories and scholarly traditions. Without this anchor, research risks becoming descriptive rather than explanatory, lacking the depth expected at the doctoral level. Okay? So, ganun ako maghanap pag ako'y nagpa-panel. Now, so, the theoretical framework, of course, as our presenter mentioned, is the set of established theories and models that explain the phenomena you are investigating. If your study focus on citizen participation in governance, you might draw from Einstein ladder of citizen participation or Habermas theory of communicative actions. And these theories define the lens through which you view participation. Whether as level of empowerment, communication, or negotiation, they also suggest possible variables to consider such as level of participation, empowerment, or trust. No? Ang study ko po kasi about e-governance, kaya puro governance. Yung sa Doctor ng Public Ad ko, e-governance ginawa ko, no? Quali in quanti, so mixed method. So, on the other hand, the last part na diniscuss na sir, yung conceptual framework, no? Conceptual framework is your adoption of these theories into research model specific to your study. Kay kanina kasi, nagpakita si sir nung parang mga model, no? And at the same time, as much as possible, right now, we were not able to observe na po yung iPhone, no? Hindi natin ginagamit. Instead, yung parang actual na ano. Pero it depends, no? Kapag historical ang study mo, pwede naman. Ano pa? So it depends sa topic, no? Baka sabi Dr. Abad, hindi na pwede. Depende sa topic. Okay? So but most commonly, yun na yung ngayon, iba na kasi yung style, no? Kung paano natin ginagawa yung ating conceptual framework. And most commonly, sa conceptual framework, andun yung variable na iba, nandun ang iyong theoretical framework na variable. Tapos, syempre, di ba, most commonly, I don't know, sa doctoral degree ng UCC, most commonly, number one is profile or demographic profile. If necessary, no? Then, variable one, then, significant difference between the number one SOP and the number two, yung variable natin. The number three, most commonly, additional variables na kasi doctoral degree kayo, possible may 2 hanggang 3 variable, ano tayo, declarations. So, right after nun, significant difference ulit ng 1 at saka ng 3. Pagdating sa 4, kung wala ng variable na bago, pagdating sa 4, the relationship na nung 2 at saka nung 3. Okay, ganun ang nangyari. Pero kung meron pa kayong another, so ganun and so on and so forth. So, depende sa dami ng variable. Basta laging demographic, tapos yung variable, significant differences. Halimbawa, may variable ulit, significant differences. Then kung wala na, relationship na ng 2 variable. Pero kung mayroon pa, variable, you have pangatlong variable, demographic profile to variable, then variable to significant difference ulit. No? Then after that, relationship, kung pag-crossin natin yan, si variable 1 to 2, variable 1 to 3, variable 2 to 1, variable, ganon, no? So depende sa kung ano yung mapoprovide niyo. Ganun ka-technical ano siya. Pero napakadali na gumawa ng thesis, don't worry. Napakabilis, napakadali lang. Again, as I mentioned, you might adapt it into a conceptual framework that examine information sharing, consultation, partnership, and citizen control as dimension of participation. And this transition from theory to concept provides clarity on what your study will specifically focus on. Your statement of the problem then emerge logically from this process. It's crafted based on the gaps. Again, ang inyong state of the problem. It is crafted based on gaps, contradiction, or underexplored areas. Kasi pag nagtanong ako sa iyo during your dissertation defense, do you identify any gaps or contradiction or underexplored areas on this topic? So, can you give me a support informations on your literature review related to your proposal? Ganun magtanong si Dr. Abante. Ano? So, kailangan alam nyo kung inyong ginagawa ay may gaps ba? Or ang gusto nyo contradiction or kuya underexplored areas. 3 lang naman yan. Pero kung gusto nyo lahat yan, ay congratulations. Pambis dissertation yon. So the statement of the problem should not be isolated or created at random. It must be directly flow from the frameworks you adopted. No? If, let's say, for example, if theory suggests that higher levels of citizen participation increase trust in government, but local studies show inconsistent outcomes, your problem statement may ask, what is the relationship between citizen participation and trust in local government institution in a specific context? No? This ensures that your problem statement is both theoretically grounded and contextually relevant. No? Quantitative studies, this link is very explicit because your variables, independent moderating or mediating po, are derived from theoretical foundation. No? Qualitative studies link the theoretical framework at the problem statement is interpretative. No? Theories guide the themes or dimension to be explored. So using institutional theory in a study on policy implementation might lead you to craft a problem statement around how norms, rules, and organizational cultures shape administrative behavior. No, variables are here are not numerical but thematic categories grounded in theory. And lastly, no, the mixed methods research, the connection becomes dual. The theoretical framework informs both measurable variables and thematic inquiries. Now, while the conceptual framework separate what is to be quantified and what is to be explored qualitatively. So the problem statement then acknowledge this duality, reflecting both strands of investigation while maintaining a unified research focus. No? So again, the theoretical framework gives you the scholarly lens on defines the boundaries of inquiry. The conceptual framework adapts this lens into a specific model with variables or construct relevant to your context. And the statement of the problem directly flows from these frameworks, articulating the research question or hypothesis that address identified gaps. No? So dapat ang theoretical framework, makikita ko sa conceptual framework. And these two will be your basis for your statement of the problem. Okay? So thank you so much.